Hey folks, Daniel with Air Down back again. Tonight, I'm hoping to at least get a really good start on welding the skid plate onto the bottom of this housing. That would complete the shave kit. First things first, I'm going to kick it off with a brand new grinder wheel. I'm going to grind back some of this knife edge. It really only starts here and ends here. The rest of it's not bad at all. And that'll give me something to weld to from the inside. If I can do a cute little weld on the inside and then a big nasty weld on the outside, then I can get probably my best chance of it being watertight. But I do have my NI-55 wire. This is a nickel and iron mixed wire, and it's designed for welding cast or steel to cast. And they recommend you still preheat, which I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get my clown gear on and start grinding. I don't know if you can see this orange line I've got on top that kind of traces where the plate goes, and of course I'm tracing on the outside, so I'm already really close to blowing through if I just do a hot weld to start the party. I don't really want to cut back any more than that. I've got about close to 1/8, so I can weld that. It doesn't have to be hot, but I just don't want it to burn way back when I'm welding on it and cause issues. I wasn't really aware of how thin some of this casting gets. In here, it feels like the casting's no thicker than maybe 1/4 inch. This kind of makes me think twice about dragging my pumpkin on a bunch of stuff all the time. Like maybe I will claw through it eventually. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I'm gonna do now, switch to my die grinder on a little sanding disc and just prep the inside. My welding surfaces are prepped, and because I TIG weld now, everything gets wiped in acetone. I'm not TIG welding this, by the way. I'm just being an idiot. The acetone sure takes that orange paint off in a fat hurry. Now, we pretty much have a dynamite weld surface. I'm going to run a few practice beads with this on some scrap, and we'll see how that turns out. And it'll be a little different because that's AR500 plate on top of iron. So there will be some discrepancy, but it'll weld similar. Well, I was just going to take care of putting this spool, which looks ridiculous and tiny. It's 2 pounds, I guess, in this wire, or this welder. But in order to do that, I need some spacing. I have this piece of PEX from doing some plumbing projects at the house. So I wanted to film it, at least show you what I'm doing. I'm making a spacer to slip over the rod. Okay, well let me show you what I did. I got it all fed through the machine. Use a PEX spacer, got the spring tension, all that stuff good and taken care of. I actually have a piece of iron that came from like a hitch receiver that I welded onto I welded the business end. It was like a D-ring holder onto the Jeep at one point, and I got a piece of regular steel. So I'm going to weld this like that, and give me some pretty good practice at least. Well, that sounded to me like it could use a little bit more wire speed. I didn't even get it centered. Nice. Let's give it a little bit more wire speed. Yep, that was the right move. Well, that powder coat reeks. And the bead almost looks a little cold. Even though I kind of swore that when it was hosing in, it was really digging in hot. I don't hear any tacks cracking, which is characteristically what would be happening to these tacks over here. And then also note, I didn't preheat this at all. Well, it's sure not a pretty weld. It seems pretty cold. Even though I swear I'm nuking it in, just watching the puddle and listening to the way it sounds. But then when I actually look at it, it looks cold, so we're gonna crank it. I can't tell if it's the NI-core or the burning powder coat, but there's a strange smell I've never smelled before in here right now. Yep, that was the answer. We needed a little more heat. And what's super cool is none of this is cracked at all. Here's that to look at. It's really undercut, and there's a lot of material just sitting right on top. It's probably why they recommend to preheat, which is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna back it back down. Well, it is undercutty on this weld, but I watched the puddle wet really well on that surface, and it's also quite smooth. I think I've got my setting where I'm wanting to try this. It's filling in extremely fast, though. I'm feeling uneasy about how fast that is. Let's do 3 and 60, and I'm gonna do one more right here. Alright, that welded way better. And I got a huge porosity. I watched it just kind of up out of the metal. It seems like dragging it, and that 3 and 60 was actually really good, and it sounded way better. And it certainly didn't spatter or be near as violent, so I'm not sure about the porosity. I'm hoping that's just from some junk that was down in there before. Shoot. One more. And this time I'm not going to angle the torch out so much. Alright, well, that proves it's running a little bit hot, I would say. This stuff sure does run funny. That's for darn sure. Okay, I flipped the axle around so I could sit in here and weld. The process is going to be do a little bit of clearancing, like bevel some edges where like the pieces meet here, so I can do a little weld in there. Then put the cover on, bolt the shave kit to the cover, tack weld the shave kit, pull the cover off. Then I'm going to get a propane heater over here, targeted right at this area. To preheat it, I've got an electric zappy laser thermometer thing. Ballistic says to heat it up to at least 250 and try not to get the casting 1 inch from the weld at any spot over 400 degrees. So we're going to probably take it easy, do a bunch of short beads. So I've lined these up and I've marked here on this. I bevel this edge up to that line and then stop. Alright, that's about as good as it's gonna get. I got a couple tools that I've got to use while I'm doing this. One of them is I want to wire wheel right after each weld, and that relieves the fine surface tensions. And then I want to needle scale, which will relieve the deeper tensions in the weld. Well, this is that what in the methamphetamine setup I've got going on. Looks like it's gonna stay lit. The reason I wasn't sure is because this has a tip over valve in it, and I'm basically asking to light my shop on fire with this move, but whatever. Now we preheat. Well, I guess now we wait. I'm sweating my ass off over here. It's getting real hot. Alright, I've been at this for a little while, and now we're getting to the 250, 260 range. I think pretty much everywhere that matters, we're on it. So I'm going to tack weld it now. I don't know if you can see this tiny little hole right here. I don't know why that hole's there, but the plate doesn't match up perfectly. So I'm gonna actually tack weld into that hole, and hopefully that'll give me a little bit more resistance to blowing through right there. 4 nice meaty tacks. Oh, this welding cord is all over this camera. Boy, is it hot back here. Nice. I'll never see that again. Alright. Let's get to welding.
Perfect. Perfect.
This thing is fully welded, and I'm doing the last like bring up to temperature now before I stuff some heat blanket in that thing and then wrap it around. Man, that was hectic once I started going. Trying to keep up with keeping the thing preheated up to that 250 mark and a little bit above, while also keeping the cast below 400, about an inch from the weld, per the instructions, was really difficult. And in the process, I wasn't wearing safety glasses at one point and was using the angle grinder. And so that was exciting. Luckily, I didn't screw myself up. And then at another point, I singed my beard in this freaking heater. So it looks like I'm getting a beard trim tonight before I go to bed. Let's do a final temperature, see if I can safely shut this heater off and pack this sucker in. Bye. I'm just gonna show a bunch in here. Well, it looks like everything's gonna stay like that. So inside's packed, woolly blanket on top. Maybe it'd be better if I just draped it a little bit because of all the other heat escape routes. And then boom, that'll cool down nicely throughout the night. I should have given you some pictures of those welds beforehand, but I'll get you a little quick video of the welds after this. That night core doesn't weld very well, but I think I did okay despite that. So anyway, I think I have more than half of it left. I should have plenty to do that, those freaking knuckles. Anyway, I'm yucky, I'm sweaty, I'm hot, I'm burnt. I tried to blast stuff in my eyes. And it's midnight, so I'm gonna go in and get a little sleep before I wake up bright and early for my job. Yay, rock crawler life. Speaking of rock crawlers, peace out, go rock crawling. And don't forget to subscribe.